Hello, and welcome to the Daily Space. For today, Wednesday, 23rd, 2020, I am your host, Annie Wilson. Most Mondays through Fridays, our team will be here putting science into your brain. Usually, Wednesdays are for Rocket Roundup, and it's been a slow week. So let's get to it, shall we? So, first up, for our one and only orbital launch of the week on September 21st at 5:40 UTC, China launched a Long March 4 Bravo rocket carrying the Haiyang 2 Charlie to orbit from Qiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northern China. This rocket had grid fins, including one that had been reused from a previous flight in November of 2019. The grid fins are used to help steer the first stage back down to ground. According to China Aerospace News, these grid fins help shrink the landing zone of the first stage by at least 85%. So, the satellite, the massive 1,575 kilogram satellite, that's about the mass of 788 2-liter soda bottles, will join the Haiyang 2 Bravo, which was launched in 2018. On board Haiyang 2 Charlie, the newer satellite, is a whole suite of instruments that will collect ocean height, temperature, wind vector data, as well as help track ships using automatic identification system and collect and retransmit buoy measurement information. China Academy of Space Technology, the manufacturer of Haiyang satellites, stated that 2 Charlie will be networked with 2 Bravo once the new satellite has reached its final orbit. Together, the two satellites will be able to collect data more frequently, about once a day instead of once every 3 days. Each satellite has an expected lifespan of about 3 years, although Haiyang 2 Alpha, which launched in 2011, operated well beyond that. Its orbit was changed in 2016 to help investigate marine gravity inversion. The anticipated end of life for Haiyang 2 Alpha was this year, and it is currently reported, or rather, it's currently not reported as operational by China's National Satellite Ocean Application Service. 5 more satellites are expected in the series, with the next one launching as soon as next year. So the mission patch, I was able to find a mission patch for this launch. In the foreground of the mission logo is the first stage of that Long March 4 Bravo with the grid fins, returning Earth, dividing the image in two. An arrow points out from the bottom of the rocket, suggesting that the 4 Bravo is headed to a landing zone far, far away from populated areas. On the left appears to be a daytime depiction of rice paddies in the Chinese countryside. The right side depicts a satellite crossing the night sky over China and nearby countries. There are 8 stars, and my best guess is that each star represents a satellite in the Haiyang 2 series. And yes, there's launch video. Reminder, rocket launches are loud. So here it is again. That orange and yellow is from the fuel combination. Those are insulation tiles coming off. That's completely normal. You can kind of see the grid fins. It looks like they're pushed up against the second stage. And here's an animation of various bits after launch, including a depiction on the of the satellite rather. There you go. All right, And while we don't normally talk about suborbital launches, we do have a special mention this week. On September 19th at around 200 hours UTC, a privately owned Australian company called Southern Launch successfully lifted a small payload on a suborbital mission. This was the first commercial launch of its kind from Australia. The mission, which was called DART, took off from a test range in an outback town in southern Australia. Southern Launch is a commercial company developing small, agile, reusable orbital and suborbital launch vehicles. They partnered with DEWC Systems to launch the latter's test payload, DEWC-SP1. I know, the most creative payload name ever. Anyways, that sent back data to further the company's satellite development process. The actual rocket was built by T-Minus Engineering. And yeah, I was actually able to find rocket launch video for this one. There's no sound, and it's going to be very fast. Like, there it is off, and there it goes. That's it. No big countdown. That's just it. It's wild. So, yeah, to wrap things up, here's a running tally of a few spaceflight statistics for the current year. There are currently 3 toilets in space, 2 on the ISS and 1 on the Soyuz docked to the ISS. We've burned up 2 toilets in the atmosphere from Soyuz modules re-entering. There are a whopping 832 satellites that humanity has put into orbit just this year. That number includes those launched from other in-orbit craft like the International Space Station. 804 satellites were launched directly from rockets, and 593 satellites are Starlinks. So far this year, there have been 75 total orbital launch attempts, including 9 failures. I keep track of orbital launches by where they launched from, also known as spaceport. Here's that breakdown. China, 28, USA, 24, Kazakhstan, 6, French Guiana, 4, New Zealand, 4, Japan, 3, Russia, 3, Iran, 2, Israel, 1. And your random space fact for the week comes to us from NASA. If you could lump together all the thousands of known asteroids in our solar system, their total mass wouldn't even equal 10% of the mass of Earth's moon. Pretty neat. So that rounds out our show for today. Thank you all for listening. I have been your host, Annie Wilson. Today's script was written and edited by Dave Bullard, Gordon Dewis, Allie Pelfrey, and myself. Our web content will be produced by Beth Johnson. Our executive producer and fearless leader is Dr. Pamela Gay. The Daily Space is a product of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring our solar system and beyond. We are here thanks to the generous contributions of people just like you. The best way you can support us is through Patreon at patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. Like us, please share us. You never know whose life you can change by adding a daily dose of science.